Good day, everybody. My name is the Welsh Assassin, otherwise known as Josh, and this episode of my Liminal Space College project is what inspired me to make my card game. So, obviously, because it's a liminal space project, and the card game only has a small hint of liminality, I thought it would be a good idea to express on why and what inspired me from the very start. So, let me take you back all the way to 2020. COVID had struck the world, and I didn't know what I should do about myself. School wasn't doing any schoolwork for the best part of 6 to 12 months. I was twiddling my thumbs, going online on my PlayStation, on my laptop, watching stuff on Netflix, withering away. I ended up thinking, what's the best way to keep my head occupied and keep my mind active? So, I remember how much I loved The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. I have read The Hobbit, and I've read the Lord of the Rings books countless of times, and I never get bored of them. I've also watched The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings films more times than I can count. That's how much of a fan of the Lord of the Rings I was, or still am. So I decided to whip up my laptop, open a Word document, and create my own spin-off. Obviously, you've got the Silmarillion, then you've got The Hobbit, and then The Lord of the Rings. I thought, why not base my spin-off book to the Silmarillion and The Lord of the Rings? Just briefly, I decided, let's focus on the Nazgul, the nine. The nine Nazgul that survived, which ended up in my eyes being only 3. Helm Hammerhead, Carmel, the Easterling Nazgul, and the Witch King. Obviously, in the film and in the books, the Witch King dies. I decided his spirit would linger, and his spirit would then transfer over to Mordor after the battle in Return of the King. Helm Hammerhead ended up going back to Helm's Deep, and the Camel, the Easterling, fled south. Their darkness obviously was depleting after the defeat of Sauron, but their strength was slowly gaining and getting stronger. And then that was when a dark entity made its way back through the seal that surrounds Middle-earth. And for people that have read the Silmarillion, at the very end, the darkness Morgoth was banished, and he was sent out of the Middle-earth realm. And it states that he may or may not return. That is who returned in my spin-off. Morgoth had returned. I only did one book, and it focused on story building, building the world, building the land, setting up Helm Hammerhead to be the big bad of the first couple chapters, Carmel the Easterling fleeing south to not be heard of for years, and the Witch King slowly rebuilding his spirit, such as Sauron did after The Hobbit. That was my whole inspiration. The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, J.R.R. Tolkien. Ever since I've focused on what I could do to involve a hint of J.R.R. Tolkien, and the main recipe being my own imagination. And that's why I decided, why not go fantasy and make a card game? And that's what I did. At the end of the day, some people would think, are you just trying to get publicity because Lord of the Rings is a big title? That's when it came to my book. But when it comes to my card game, I have had a few people that have playtested the game with me, or by themselves. This feels a lot like a want to be card game of Gwent, which is another fantasy, and I have spoken about Gwent in my first or second episode about my inspiration and why I'm making my card game based off Gwent and a few other games. I explained to those people that maybe because I enjoyed playing Gwent and I wanted my card game to be somewhat similar, and they kind of just agreed with me. There was no if, buts and maybes. It was quite simple. We agree. It feels a lot like Gwent, but in your own style, which is obviously what I was intending it to be. But yeah, at the end of the day, my inspiration was The Lord of the Rings, and I'll always have a soft spot for J.R.R. Tolkien and what he had created. Thanks to him, my inspiration runs wild, my imagination continues to grow, and I always push people to read the books and then watch all the films made by Peter Jackson. I don't know why people refuse to read the books or watch the films, when they were the catalyst for most animations and most visual effects to this day. So, I always wonder what it would be like if fans were to direct a sequel or prequel to The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings. Someone like myself who is inspired by J.R. Tolkien's work and is making a card game because he's my inspiration. At times, you just have to ask yourself, who am I doing this for? Am I doing this for myself? Or am I doing this for everyone else? Sometimes you have to be selfish and do it for yourself, but the majority of the time you need to do it for other people. And making my card game the way it is, I'm doing it for other people. I'm not doing it for myself. I want people to feel like they're connected to a world where their imagination can run just as wild as mine. With the physical card game version, which you have seen and what I've spoken about the most, it's just pure imagination written down on paper. That's what it is. But obviously, later in this year, I'm going to make a video game out of my current physical card game form. And I'm going to see how well both hold up. Every negative comment, every positive comment, every piece of feedback I get from people around the world about my videos, about my channel, and about my card game, and etc. It all goes towards making the digital video game. That's why I'm getting myself out in the world, to get feedback from everyone. So this is me reminding you, if you're watching this, please comment down below and give me your opinion about my card game. If you have one, that is brilliant. If you don't, just thumbs up the video, that would be a great help as well. And I just want to say thank you so very much. Everyone that continuously watches my videos, and believe me, it's a lot more than I thought I was going to get. I've had up to 7 people continuously watch my videos. My first video is creeping up to 30 views, and my other 5 videos are slowly creeping up to 10. It's brilliant, and I'm so grateful for that. Regardless, my name has been the Welsh Assassin. Thank you all so very much. Until next time, bye bye.